Hello, students. Today we are going to continue from the part which we had done yesterday. Okay. Now, before this, we had discussed about the Battle of Buxar. Today, as I told you, that today we shall be starting with the major consequences of the Battle of Buxar. So, in Battle of Buxar, just 2 to 3 points which I am telling you so that you can recall the things that what happened. This Mir Qasim, he was made the Nawab, and then later on Mir Qasim also did not like the dominance of the Britishers. So later on he wanted to free himself. So what happened? Mir Qasim, he also started placing limits on the trade privileges of the company. All these things irritated the company people, British company people, and for that they declared war on him. So although Mir Qasim had tried to have a better war, but still he lost. So now after the losing the war with against the Britishers, now what was the result? So here we will be coming to know about the consequences of the Battle of Buxar. Now in 1765 what happened? The Treaty of Allahabad was signed. Now what is this treaty? The Treaty of Allahabad, when we call, the treaty is nothing else but the written agreement which is done between two or more parties. So here it was signed, this treaty was signed between Sujauddullah and Shah Alam and Robert Clive. Now according to the treaty, they had to bear certain conditions which were laid that they had to follow. Now this, what was this treaty saying? That the East India Company, is English East India Company, according to this, got the Diwani of Bengal. Now what benefit they will get if they got the Diwani of Bengal? That means they will be authorized to collect the revenue from the people. So here they got the complete Diwani of Bengal from the Mughal emperor, that is Shah Alam. Okay. Now they got the right to collect the revenue from Bihar, Bengal and Orissa. Okay. This was a great territory which was a very big territory, as they got the right to collect the revenue from Bihar, Bengal and Orissa. And in return, after they were not paying duties, if you remember, in the previous class we had discussed that they were not paying the duties. So they here they said that they will be paying the annual tribute of 26 lakh rupees and two districts in Uttar Pradesh, that is Allahabad and Kara. Okay. Now the emperor, he was residing in the fort of Allahabad, but he was under the protection of the British. Here again you will find that the emperor, he is not free. He is there is a dominance, type of dominance which is by the Britishers, because if the protection is there with the Britishers, that means no secret, there is no secrecy or no privacy of the emperor. Then Nawab of Awadh was made to pay the indemnity of 50 lakhs. Now this indemnity, what is this? It is the amount of money which is given as a payment for the damage or the loss which is done during the war, or the cases which happen, the events which happens. Okay. So the company now, when they got this indemnity of 50 lakhs, and also the company restored this kingdom, and they assured that, or you can say they promised that they will help in the case of the attack of their territory. If anybody, third party, if attacks on them, then he will help them. Another thing which happened, that is Robert Clive, he introduced the dual government in Bengal. Now what is this dual government? That means under this system what happened, that all the responsibilities were there of the Nawab, What type of responsibility? Like running of the administration, solving the public problems, or looking after the state affairs. Okay, so all these things, all the responsibilities were there of the Nawabs, and the resources were of the company. The revenues were also controlled by the company, British company. So the administrations and the company had all the power but no responsibility, because company, they were getting the revenue, and they were also controlling the administration, they were controlling from there. Okay, but the Nawab had to look into the matter. So this was the dual policy which was adopted by the Robert Clive in 1765. Now this Britishers, they all started controlling the revenue. Okay, and it was all collected through the Indian representative. British officials did not go to collect the revenue. It was all done by the Indian representatives. And Nawabs, they were given only a small amount of money, you can say a small share of the revenue to run the administration. So here the people of Bengal, they all suffered a lot under this system. And this system, the company was becoming the ruler of the Bengal. Now one incident happened, like there was a famine, and it was in 1770, and it was such a great famine that around one third of the population, they died out, and neither the company nor the Nawab provided any support or aids to the people. No support was given. So here the company, they were all becoming very wealthy. And during the time when they were not even giving any aids to the people, no support was given. So the company officers were getting very enough of money, so they were getting very much wealthy. Now in 1772, Warren Hastings, now before that it was Robert Clive. Now Warren Hastings, he became the Governor General of Bengal. Dual policy was adopted by Robert Clive, but now it is Warren Hastings who became the Governor General of Bengal. Okay, so in this he saw the dual system of governance and put an end to it. No further dual policy will be continued, and Bengal became came under the direct control of the company, that is English East India Company. Now here, for the first time, this big territory of Bihar, Bengal and Orissa, it all came under the control of the Britishers. Now we will see that what were the other expansion policy of the Britishers. So that we will learn under the topic of growth of British influence. Now India was the company people wanted to bring India under their own domination. So for that they started adopting different expansionist policies. Okay, how to expand. Now the small territory is under them, now they will expand this territory, so they adopted few measures. So during the second half of the 18th century, kingdom of Mysore and Maratha, they were very powerful. These Mysore and Marathas, they were very powerful, and it was a great threat to the British rule. So what the company people, British and English East India Company people used to do, whenever such situation used to arise, they used to declare war. So the same thing happened over here also. The company declared war against both. So we will be knowing one by one. First we will study about Mysore, and then we will study about Marathas. Now Mysore, if you talk about, then who was there in Mysore? It was very powerful. So under whose leadership? It was Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan. So this is very famous name. You must have heard these names. Now Mysore was very prosperous, and as it was, the spices trade was also being done very profitably, and it was in the coastal area. So the Malabar coast was under this Mysore. So Tipu Sultan had a control over this profitable spice trade at the Malabar coast. And What Tipu Sultan he did, that he stopped the export of the sandalwood, paper, or you can say cardamom, and asked the merchants not to trade with the company people. Okay, not to do the trading with the company people. Remember that they had come here as traders, and later on they started expanding, settling and annexing the territories. Okay, so Tipu Sultan, what he said, that the merchant should not trade with the company people. And then it was English East India Company, through which with which Tipu Sultan was having a rivalry. But he also knew that the Britishers, they had a very good army, or you can say very strong army. So Tipu Sultan established friendly relationship with the French in India. Okay, the French people were also there in India, so they established a friendly relationship with the French people. And then with the help of the French people, he tried to modernize his army and got their assistance also. Now this Britishers, they saw that the Deccan states, they used to take Hyder and Tipu as a great threat, because they were very powerful and their armies were also very strong. Now, since the Britishers, they were willing to expand this territory in this area also, so this conflict was there, and it ultimately led to 4 Anglo-Mysore War, which was between 1767 to 1799. Now, in this four wars which happened, Anglo-Mysore War. So you are now understanding the term, that is English people and the Mysore people. Okay, war between them. Now let us see one by one that in the first war, second war, and what happened in all the 4 wars. So in the first Anglo-Mysore War, Hyder Ali, he gave a very crushing defeat to the Britishers. Very nicely, their armies were also strong. So here, after giving a defeat, there was a treaty which was signed by them. That was the Treaty of Madras. Now, treaty, again I will remind you that it is a written agreement which goes under the two people, or two countries or states, two communities, likewise you can think. Okay, between two organs and more. Okay, now with this, the British, what did they get, that they will according to this treaty, they will be friendly with each other, and if the third party attacks, then British will be helping them. But what happened in 1770, Marathas attacked Mysore, but British force did not help them. Okay, what was the agreement done? What was the Treaty of Madras? That if the third party attacks, then they will be Britishers will be helping, but Britishers here did not help them. So Hyder Ali, he was defeated, and he was very much angry with the deceiving mentality of this Britishers. Okay, betraying the Britishers, betraying behavior of the Britishers. Now Hyder Ali, he died in 1782 while fighting with the English force in Chittor. But his son Tipu Sultan, he continued the war. And then second Anglo War was the second Anglo War which was held, and it ultimately ended in 1784 with the Treaty of Mangalore. Okay. Now later on, after as the time passed, still the conflicts were there, the difference of opinion was there. So the third Anglo-Mysore War was also there. With the result, what happened? As a result, Tipu Sultan, he restricted the British spice trade on the Malabar coast, and the increasing friendliness among the Tipu Sultan and the French people, that friendliness was actually pinning the Britishers. So this increasing friendliness, that was pinching the Britishers. So these were the reasons why the third Anglo-Mysore War was held. Then the Britishers, it was later on, it was led by Lord Cornwallis. Lord Cornwallis, he was supported by the Nizams and the Marathas to defeat Tipu, because Marathas, they were also having the rivalry with the Mysore, and Mysore was led by Tipu Sultan. Okay, after Hyder Ali, it was led by Tipu Sultan. Now, this Lord Cornwallis, he was supported by Nizams and Marathas. So here he had to pay a huge fine on the part of the kingdom when he lost. Tipu Sultan lost over here because Nizams and Marathas were also standing with support to the Britishers. So here Tipu Sultan lost, and he had to pay a huge fine as a part of the king, and also a part of the kingdom, means he had to give the part of the kingdom also and pay a huge amount of fine. And besides this, uh, two of the son of Tipu Sultan, they were also caught, and they were put in prison. After that, Governor General Lord Wellesley, he proposed Tipu should accept the subsidiary alliance. Now, what was this subsidiary alliance? According to the subsidiary alliance, the local governance that had to maintain the army of the Britishers, keep some courtiers in their court. So all the privacy and everything was gone, and the things were indirectly under the control of the Britishers. So Tipu Sultan, he rejected his proposal, and due to this, it led to the Fourth Anglo War, Mysore War. And in this, Tipu Sultan, he died in 1799 defending his capital. He was every time struggling to defend his capital, but he could ultimately died in the battlefield. Now, after Tipu Sultan's death, the British, what they did, they annexed his kingdom, and he needed some people who would monitor over that Mysore. So here he Woodeyars, he was the former ruler of the dynasty. So he kept him as a puppet over there, and then imposed the subsidiary alliance on the state. So the purpose was served. Now we will know about the Marathas. As I told you that the Britishers, they had the great threat for the Marathas and the Mysore. So now Mysore is already under the control of the Britishers, and now they are they are trying to expand through Marathas. Now this Maratha, this was also one of the very much powerful, but after they got defeated, they in the third battle of Panipat in 1761, Maratha had become very weak. So what happened when we had talked about this Aurangzeb, I told you that the central power, it became very weak, and very small, and many small provincial rulers also, like zamindars and all local governors, they all started springing up. Same thing happened over here also, that when Maratha became very weak, then very different dynasties started emerging. Small Maratha powers also started emerging. Who were there? They were Gaikwads, Holkars, Bhosles, and Sindhias. Okay, so they were all emerging, but after 1770s, the power struggle among the Maratha chiefs intensified. Why? Because these Holkars, Gaikwads, Bhosles, and Sindhias, they wanted to become more powerful, and so there was a rivalry among them, because everybody wanted to become more powerful and expand their territory. So the Britishers, they had already observed that there was no unity left in Maratha. Okay, so Britishers took the advantage of this disunity, and ultimately this led to the three Anglo-Maratha war between 1775 to 1818. Now, Marathas, as we are continuing, because we are having three Anglo-Maratha wars. Now, here again, Anglo-Maratha, that means war between English people and the Marathas. Now, in the first Anglo-Maratha war, it broke out. What was the reason behind? Because there were some issues of succession, that who will become the next successor. Okay, so here it was the succession of the throne of the Peshwas. Now this clash was there, a lot of clashes were there, and it involved Madhav Rao too, who was supported by Maratha chiefs under the leadership of Nana Fadnis. On the other hand, Raghunath Rao, supported by the British on the other hand. See, here Britishers also has interfered. Okay, so in 1782, there was a peace concluded by the Treaty of Salbai, and Britishers recognized Madhav Rao too as the Peshwa. Now in the second Anglo-Maratha War, and this is what happened in the first Anglo-Maratha War. Now let us see what happened in second Anglo-Maratha War. It was fought between 1803 to 1805. And here what happened, that because Britishers, and it was under the Britishers, Lord Cornwallis was there, the Governor General, and he had imposed a subsidiary alliance on the Scindias and the Bhosles. Now what happened, they restricted the and declared a war on the Britishers. Now because this Scindias and the Bhosles, they also did not wanted to be imposed the subsidiary alliance which was being imposed by the Britishers, so they resisted against. Okay, so due to which the Britishers, they declared war on them, and they were also defeated because they were not very strong, so they were defeated also by the Britishers, and ultimately they had to accept the subsidiary alliance as well. Okay, and then even give a part of territory. The part of territory was also given to the Britishers, that means Ahmednagar and Broch. These were the territories which were given to the Britishers, and they also had the subsidiary alliance. That means they had to even maintain the army. Now the Britishers were maintaining their army on the cost of the local governance. The Britishers here, they were enjoying the privileges of maintaining the army on the cost of the local rulers. Now let us see what happened in the Third World War. Third Anglo-Maratha War. Now in the Third Anglo-Maratha War, 1817 to 1819, the war was between 1817 to 1819. Now Peshwa Bajirao, he tried to unite the Maratha chiefs against the Britishers, because he had understood that unless and until we are united within, we will not be able to fight against the Britishers. He tried to unite there were many Maratha chiefs we have talked about, the Peshwas, this like Gaikwads, Holkars, Bhosles and Scindias. So he tried, and many small chiefs had also emerged. So he tried to unite these Maratha chiefs, but however the Maratha force lost. So what happened? Then the Peshwas, he was abolished, and then Bajirao was disposed and pensioned. Okay, and then all his kingdoms and territories of all Maratha chiefs were annexed. They were all taken away. Means they all lost again in the hands of the Britishers, and they did not allow even to maintain the army. Means they are asking the local governance not to maintain the army. That means how will they secure themselves? So they became completely insecured. So this is all for today. I hope you must have understood. I will ask you, I will instruct you to go through these topics in your textbook for the better understanding. And tomorrow in the next class, I shall be discussing about the British expansion under Lord Wellesley, and we shall be knowing that how this expansion policy continued. Thank you.